The second level is the creativity of the mind. This kind of creativity is mental, fake, and comes from the ego. In spite of this, most people use this the most. Pure physical creativity is degrading for the ego. It strives for more. The ego wants to rise beyond the level of animals, beyond physical death, to reach a kind of symbolic immortality, to transfer itself into a creation that will outlive its creator. This is how most immortality projects come to life, if you still remember from the last lesson. The ego is an idea, and it wants to remain an idea forever. Creative people use their talents to create a vehicle for this idea. However, most are not ready for, or are too afraid of, or simply don't know about true spiritual creativity. This is why the mind finds a substitute it can play with. Real creativity is completely natural, but by forcing it, wanting it, and fighting for it, you make it unnatural. Fake creativity is when the ego wants to play God because of its inferiority complex. In contrast, true spiritual creativity means becoming God with all its implications. Mental creativity is very much limited because it doesn't involve your whole being. It is more like a fantasy, a fairy tale for your ego. Your mind is limited by its knowledge, which is built up from pieces of information, which all come from the past. How do you wish to create something new if you rely only on the old? How could you make something that you cannot even imagine? I tell you, it is impossible. The results of mental creativity are inferior creations, just like the ego itself. Most of the time, it is just an imitation of others' work. It is a cheap copy of the real thing. People keep on copying masterpieces, and then others copy the forgeries, and the cycle goes on. Most books are rehashed copies of other books that are rehashed copies of other books. Even animals are capable of imitation, so this cannot be the way of rising beyond them. Sure, even great artists start by imitation, but then they move beyond this phase. In the early stages of discovering your own voice, you need to learn from others, and the best method is imitation. But once you found it, you have to use it and forget about others. It is not imitation, but creativity that really differentiates humans from animals. The history of humanity started at the moment when the first ape grabbed up a stick from the ground and started to use it as a tool. The development of technology has been increasing exponentially ever since, and it is not against spirituality. Without creativity, you can be peaceful but never godlike. Just look at animals, how peaceful they are. Humanity has lost this peace with the advancement of the brain and the rise of complex thoughts and emotions. However, the goal is not to fall back to a primitive, peaceful state, but to rise up to a higher dimension of peace filled with creativity.